chapter 16. There was a rich man who was dressed in purple and fine linen. He lived in luxury every day. At his gate was laid a beggar named Lazarus, covered with sores, and longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. Even the dogs came and licked his sores. The time came when the beggar died, and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried. In hell, where he was in torment, he looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side. So he called to him, Father Abraham, have pity on me, and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I'm in agony in this fire. But Abraham replied, Son, remember that in your lifetime you received your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. Now he's comforted here, and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you, a great chasm has been fixed. So those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from there to us. He answered, Then I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my father's house, for I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them, so they may not also come to this place of torment. Abraham replied, They have Moses and the prophets. Let them listen to them. No, Father Abraham, he said, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent. He said to him, If they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced, even if someone rises from the dead. That's by the reading of God's holy, inspired word. I don't know about you, but I'm kind of fond of reading Ann Landers or Dear Abby or whoever the advice columnist is in the paper, just mostly for giggles. But one time, somebody sent a letter to Ann Landers and asked her what she thought heaven and hell was for real. Her response was interesting. She says, I really haven't given that much thought. And I wonder how many of us are like Ann Landers. I'm not sure. I don't know. Because we fall into either 2 camps. We either stop thinking about it, don't want to think about it, or we've understood what our eternal destiny is. While we're talking about famous people, maybe you watched ABC and John Stossel. He's kind of an interesting character, big mustache. Always talking about risk. Well, he's got a chart on his wall that talks about risk management and some things that are prioritizing the measures of riskiness. How risky it is, like bungee jumping and skydiving and walking across the street. So he says, if you're 100 times more likely to die in a car crash than from the pesticides that you use on your yard, you better be careful when you drive to the hardware store. Get those things that are going to make your life better. And if you're a smoker, don't waste too much time wondering if your cell phone's giving you cancer. Cigarettes can get you first. And remember, I like this one, taking a healthy walk is more dangerous than eating junk food. Okay? Prioritize it. Jesus asks the same question. What does it profit a person to gain the whole world and lose your soul? What's the priority? The world or my life? That's what he's asking us here. Have we given thought to where we're going to spend eternity? Have we prioritized the risks of what life brings to us? And have we considered the possibility and the reality of what Christ is saying? Because this is a fascinating parable. And to my chagrin, I realized when I looked at my notes, I haven't not preached on this in my career. So this is an amazing voyage. Don't ask me why. I think the last time we worked this passage, Gary Hansen was our intern a long time ago. Well, let's take a look at it. It's the context. You see, Jesus has been talking to these people about money. The parable that immediately precedes this is the parable of the shrewd steward. That's an interesting one where the guy's going to get fired. He calls in all his boss's creditors and says, okay, mark it down. You owe 100 bushels, put down 10. You owe 1,000, put down 100. And when he finally goes to his final accounting, the boss says, you've been busy. Well done. And Jesus is saying, if that's how people in the world use their money, what are you going to do with the privileges and responsibilities given to you who loved money, and he said to them, "You are the ones who justify yourselves in the eyes of men, but God knows your hearts. What is highly valued among men is detestable in God's sight." Back up 2 verses. You can't serve 2 masters. You can't serve both God and money. These guys, the Pharisees, thought we could. They thought they could compartmentalize their lives. They had their money life over here. They had their church life over here. And never would the 2 meet. But Jesus has just done this. Separated God and money. But their theology was based on Deuteronomy, or the Deuteronomic law, if you will. And this is what Deuteronomy has to say. Obey God, and you'll be blessed and rewarded in the marketplace, in the field, and in the home. So for them, godliness was in league with riches. If you were wealthy, that meant you were godly. Now, do you think that died with the Pharisees? I was studying a different subject. It wasn't exactly theology, but the theology prof was up teaching a class and talking about our view of Reform versus Wesleyan theology. And he looks at me and says, "How do you think we got the Industrial Revolution?" It was all the Reform folks working hard to prove that they were elect. Because in Reformed theology, those who persevere to the end are those who are saved. And the way to prove that you're saved is because you're blessed. And if you fail in business, it's because you've been cursed. Sounds kind of Deuteronomic, doesn't it? But Jesus is on his way to Jerusalem, and he's not about to back down. He's not about to let these Pharisees have a dual life, compartmentalize money and the relationship with God. He says these two come hand in hand. So one man writes, the secular compartment was quite separate in that they could afford to be lovers of money, but their attitudes in such matters had no bearing on their religious status. That's why they ridiculed the idea of getting to heaven might in some way be connected to the ordinary life. Well, so Jesus tells this parable. He says there were 2 men. Now, you notice he says there was a rich man. No name. This guy has no name. Now, throughout history and tradition, we've given him a name. We call him Dives. Well, I'm no Latin scholar, so I have to depend on somebody else. But that's Latin for rich. Because somewhere along the line, people couldn't stand the fact this guy has no name. But he has no name, according to one commentator, and I love this, was struck by the fact that he appears without a name, while the poor man is given one. This rich man's name was not known in heaven. Now, I can't prove that. But think about it. Jesus never does anything accidentally. He does it purposely. Lazarus, however, is the only named person in the parable. You'll have the Good Samaritan. You'll have a certain man. You'll have a woman. You'll have figures like this. This is the only parable where we're given a name. So this rich man's name was not known. But he was rich. Not only rich, he was flamboyant. He dressed in purple and fine linen. Purple was the most expensive cloth of the day. You couldn't just walk down to Walmart and buy purple dye. You had to get the special trade and it was expensive because it was rare. And fine linen. Basically, it was Egyptian cotton. Couldn't find anything better. And he did this every day. There was no rest. There was no Sabbath. There was no cycle to his life that reflected his dependence on God. Here was a man who lived for himself and no one else. Then you've got Lazarus, covered with sores, longing to eat what fell from the rich man's table. And one man describes Lazarus as best he could as beggary. And it says he was, this translation says he was laid there. Basically, the Greek says he was dumped. Nobody wanted Lazarus around, so they dumped him in front of this rich man's gate so that he might beg for alms. And just dumped him. I mean, they didn't just set him down gently. They just said, there you go. Good luck. They didn't come in the evening and bring him home. They just left him there. He stayed there. This was his home. This was his place of residence. He couldn't move himself even on crutches. Those who carried his diseased body just dumped it down regardless of the growing pain they caused. And through that portal, the rich man and his friends had to pass, had to see him in his wretchedness, had to hear his quavering, begging voice as he stretched out his hand. Golden opportunity for alms and more than alms. The only thing he got were looks from the rich man going, disgusting. There's the contrast. And here's the other contrast. The only people who provide, the only animals who provided the comfort for this man were the dogs. A lot of people say, well, dogs weren't clean, they were not pets. But another gentleman said, think about what dogs do. They got a story they live in. This was the only comfort Lazarus received from the roving dogs that came around. Okay? Now, these two men died. This is bound to happen. Lazarus dies. There's no statement beyond that. No comment about a burial. Except that when Lazarus dies, the angels carried him to Abraham's side. And if you notice in the Old Testament, the only people who are carried by the angels are the saints. These are the people of God who are carried to their eternal reward. And so Lazarus shares the privilege of the highest Old Testament saints. Although there's no burial, there's no funeral, he was probably dumped in a common grave with other beggars and paupers. The rich man, however, dies as well. There's an elaborate funeral, all his friends show up, there's a nice eulogy, there's paid mourners, there's flute players, there's a processional out to the graveyard. That's it. That's all this rich guy ever gets. Except, as this man puts it, the rich man went where his master's money took him. To Hades, the place of torment. From there he could see Abraham, and what a shocking discovery. There beside Abraham he saw Lazarus, the one he'd been unable to see all those years. So the rich man is in Hades, not hell, because that's eternal damnation. This is the place in that in-between time. Don't ask me to explain that, and we're not going to go into the theology of that, because that's not the purpose of this text. But he's in torment. Lazarus is sitting with Abraham. Things are good, finally. And the rich man says, Abraham, I'm in torment. Send Lazarus. Now, again, think about it. This guy's in torment because he's been a snob all his life. Now he says, hey, Abraham, send that kid down here. He's still functioning as the man who's got everything, as the man who's in charge. Send him. He needs to help me. I'm in pain. And what's Abraham say? Look, you had all the good things, and that your is significant. He had what he chose. This rich man could have spent time with the things of God and delighted in the Word of God. He could have taken care of Lazarus. He could have brought him into his own home, put him in a room, taken care of this man, because he was a godly person. But for him, the good things have been the purple, the fine linen, the daily merriment, and feasting. Now he had to abide by his choice. And Abraham reminds him of that. So the rich man says, again, I'm in control. Send Lazarus to warn my brothers. Again, send the boy. Send the errand kid to take care of what I can. And Abraham says, look, your brothers have the witness of the Scripture. Every week it's read in the synagogue. If they want to hear what I've got to say, what God wants to say, then let them pay attention. It's all there. It's no mystery. There's nothing hidden. But this this rich man is in some ways accusing God. I like this comment. The rich man had been warned, as he now proposed to have his brothers warned he would not be in this place of torment. Yes, he is more concerned about his brothers than God is, knows better than God how to save them, and blames God for his terrible fate. So, what does that mean to us? Where does this impact you and I today? Well, keep in mind, there's more here than meets the eye. This is not a parable that says rich people are evil. It's not a parable that says wealth is wrong. Abraham, after all, was wealthy. It's a question of what are we going to do with what we've got. It's a question of what are we going to do with what God has blessed us with. Do we keep it for ourselves and live in fine linen and dress in fine clothes? Or do we spend our time and our resources to help others? Because it's a parable about choices. It's a man who makes a major discovery of truth. However, it's too late. Because you see, our life determines our destiny. Our life determines where our eternity is going to be. But we've gotten into an age of entitlement. Now, I have to confess some of my commentaries are dated. I graduated a few years back. But this could have come from today's newspapers. Charles W. Bray III, Deputy Director of the U.S. Internal Communication Agency, back in 1981, wrote, "We have come to a time when we say, you deserve a break today." Remember the McDonald's commercial? You deserve a break today, so Bill, get up together. I can recite the jingle. Go to McDonald's, get a break. Now it's going to have whatever they're selling today. But he says, you deserve a break today. Too many of us believe that. If you're poor, we deserve welfare. If you're rich, you deserve a tax break. If you're workers, we deserve better fringe benefits. If we own Chrysler or Chevrolet, we deserve a bailout. If you're a special interest, you deserve a special healing. That was 1981. 30-some years later. Has anything changed? I deserve a break. You owe me. Come on, take care of me. But the reality is our life determines our destiny. And Lazarus didn't go to Abraham's bosom because he was poor. Poverty is not positive spirituality. I met poor people who are just as ungodly as any wealthy person. But the parable teaches that we'll continue eternity in the spiritual condition we spend our years on life on the earth. Our spiritual situation here determines where we'll spend eternity. So when you take a long-range view of life and eternity, a long-range view. Well, thinking of long-range, it just reminded me, this summer, Deb and I traveled about 35 miles down through the wilderness, and I think it was the second day we passed this pile of rock. I had no idea the elevation. It wasn't terribly high. It wasn't the highest peak in the area. But for the next 3 days, when we stopped and turned and looked back north, because we were traveling south, you could see that peak. You could see that mountain from a distance. And if you think about travelers across the prairie, what they sight by? Chimney Rock. Places that were high. They give them a long-range view. And if we do the same thing with our life, instead of the short-range focus on what's right in front of us, we can find what's really important. But we also need to take this parable that faith comes by hearing. We can't depend on the miraculous. God's not going to send the miraculous to change us, to transform us, to prove His existence. And the Pharisees had their favorite authority. It was the law and the gospel. But Jesus, through the mouth of Abraham, points them to their favorite source of authority. They always had the books of the law. And such a warning implies to that rich man as well as to us that if we pay attention to what's here, if we listen to what's written, we will find eternal life. Because there is necessity because somebody comes back from the dead doesn't prove anything. Because if we're not following what Christ has laid out here, we'll never find what God has for us. One last thought. It's all old story. Been around for a long time, but I still like it. The rabbi was asking God, what's heaven like and what's hell like? So in his dream, he's taken to God says, let's go, I'll show you. He's taken to a room. It's a big room, large room, a big pot of stew in the middle, and the aromas are just filling the whole room. Everybody's got long spoons on their arms, and they're standing around looking miserable and dejected. And God said, that's hell. Now I'm taking you to heaven. Next scene. Same scenario, same room, beautiful pot of stew, people with long spoons on their arms, and they're all sitting around, they're smiling, they're happy, they're healthy, they're laughing and giggling. And the rabbi says, what's the difference? He says, in hell they're too selfish. The spoons are too long, they can't reach their mouth. In heaven, they learn to feed each other. The question is, are we feeding each other or trying to take care of ourselves? We're trying to take care of ourselves. That's where we'll spend eternity. If we're taking things God has given to us today, if we're using the things that are available to us to further the work of God, that's where we'll spend eternity. So take a closer look. What's your life say about you? What's your life commitment say about where we'll spend eternity? Let's pray. Gracious God, help us once again today to listen to these words of life, that we might focus on your priorities.